just common first pick champions for blue side. So I'm curious to see what WE has up their sleeves.
Well, they don't have the Milia, they don't have the Zeri. We were already talking about it before, so yeah, it is a little bit surprising. Do you take away things like Gwen? Nocturne from Ning, okay. Maybe a different direction. Lyric, I'm trying to go off my magic list here and start thinking about what? Lucian? Maybe things like else in the bottom lane?
Yeah, I wonder if WE are really just trying to make sure they get a first pick on one of the reliable junglers, which would be a little bit different from the fact that, again, Hung showed he has a very vast champion pool from their first 2 series. So Wukong Vi kind of being the standouts. Ning especially has really liked to lean on the Wukong over the Vi. So something like that, of course, can be a takeaway. Annie, another high priority champion that is left open. Maokai, but I feel like that falls off a little bit when Jace is banned because you don't have that same pairing with an AD laner.
Well, if I'm going to be locked in at the very least, we'll see what Ultra Prime do. You're already mentioning some of these pairing up. I'm curious about Doggo and Sword Art here in the early game. Ning, bit of a flashback there, Lyric, to time he won Worlds and time that IG was very prevalent. Very much a Zac meta. But Annie was something that was also talked about here today. Expected that to be in some kind of rotation with the Belios as well. A natural for Doggo at this point too.
Yeah, Felios going to be locked in. Again, you would expect either the Wukong or the Annie here. If you wanted to lock in the Annie because they've already picked jungle, you don't need to be afraid of them taking this away, but still no. They elect into taking this pick. Should assume for WE would probably be Jinx plus the Annie coming out. Ahri could be another thing that you opt into over it just for the fact that you have the Vi. And Ahri has a much easier time being able to follow up with that ult once once Hung throws it out to be able to just zone in on Doggo and take him out of a fight.
I love you mentioned that as well. I mean, Shanks in previous splits, great on some of these mobile mages towards mid as well. Jinx locked in, as stated before. We've already mentioned the options of Annie thrown into the mix too. Things like Nautilus, we've seen higher rise of priority too, but is it really going to fit here?
It would be a flex pick if they did it too, which is even funnier in my mind, right? And who knows? Who knows all the roles that people are willing to play Nautilus in still? Because maybe you could throw it in the mid lane. Like Shanks has already played Cassante in their last series, but nope. We are just going to get the stock and standard with the Annie coming through.
All right, well, Gragas on the other side. Interesting here from Ultra Prime. Lyric, they're going to put their support to the wayside instead. Looks like they could be trying to match either mid towards top. But tell me what's next. What are we looking at here? Because no support for Ultra Prime, no top laner or solo laner to throw that caveat in. WE feels like they're looking for a support and a solo laner as well, so similar position.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to try and ban out top laners. We know Gragas can still be flexed, right? You always could end up just playing it in the mid lane role. I thought maybe they'd look to try and take away some, let's say, generic top laners like the Gnar who can go up against to try and use that range and be able to win out. But no, really wanting to whittle down the support pool with the fact that they do have that first look.
You know what's also kind of cooked at the moment? We've seen Aatrox slowly slip back in. Not just because I've been watching a hell of a lot of LCO, but I know also in the LPL we saw that matchup the other night as well. Just something to keep considering as Gwen now banned away from the top lane. Another big priority here in the LPL rising up as with one support down and dusted. It's just a question of whether Ultra Prime follow the trend, get rid of something that can help Iwandi, add some engage into this comp.
Yeah, and it seems like for WE, they are reading into that it will be a mid lane Gragas. I mean, Forge has already played it twice, so I guess it makes sense if you're going to over-index into that one. And just even more surprised with me that Ultra Prime are the ones to ban away the Lulu themselves when I feel like that would fit their composition better, especially if you're going to put something like Gragas in the mid lane and just end up having more peel and really building around a Protect the President style composition. Having the Chanter would have been nice, but now this just means, hell, they're potentially just going to end up with even more engage and ways to get on top of Hope on that Jinx.
Another Secret Service agent added into the mix here for Sword Art.
Oh, please.
So you know that he played this so much. This is how he hit high challenger. Janna's added in. And yeah, a bit of a caveat and bloody great into Rakan as well.
Yeah, I mean, we get the Iwandi special. Despite the fact that he's known for this champion, he really doesn't bring it out all too often. It's another champion that I believe is sitting in a pretty decent place in solo queue, especially was on this patch. So we're going to get to see what he does with it with the Echoes of Helia. That will for sure come through. So very stock and standard team composition front to back coming out for Team WE. Some nice pick options through mid-jungle, but now it's for Ultra Prime.
Oh, yeah.
Harry, I would love this too.
Set up the engage, right? All the ducks in a row. Look, the president's going to have a lot of people darting forward and diving in. Lyric, round out Ultra Prime a bit for me, because when I see buttons that go in, maybe not necessarily go out, I think this team is built on an engage.
Yeah, seriously. This one's going to be interesting to watch because you already know what Ultra Prime want to do. They want to go in. It's all about getting on top of Hope, taking him out of a fight very quickly. The thing is, that could potentially leave Doggo exposed. When you have 4 champions who are going to be jumping forward, sure, Sword Art always has the ability to jump back after he goes in, like with the quickness and with a knock-up, but Doggo might just be left fending for himself, and that might give Hung and Shanks easier access to the backline. So I think we're going to need to see some really nice coordinated engages coming out from Ultra Prime to make sure that Doggo doesn't get left by himself.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch at the very least. A lot of go buttons, even on both sides here. Xiaobai and Warhorse shake hands. Folks, these teams are undefeated. You wouldn't come into a new split and say Ultra Prime and WE haven't bitten the dust yet, at least in a single series, but it is the truth. Now, you can look at their relative opponents and you can say they haven't versed anyone who was previously in the top 4 before. Ultra Prime, it was AL, it was FPX, and now WE. Where WE, it was only AL on the other side that they took a win. But still, wins are wins and zeros are zeros. And right now, these teams are sitting with zeros in the loss column. As Ultra Prime and WE go up against each other, it is the battle for the middle of the table to start signifying your place here in the LPL 2023 Summer Split. The split that rolls into Worlds. As we got ourselves a lot of big-bodied men. There is at least 500 kilos of body weight between these two teams running into Game 1. Sorry, 5,000.
I was going to say, it's going to be a lot more than that. Like, my God, Malphites, Gragas's, Wukongs, Vi's, Xi'ans. We just have so much going on right now. Ooh. I'm impressed with the Gyos.
You'd have to hope, because WE's arena, folks, bit of back context, 600 seats in Xi'an. So WE have the biggest arena, unless that's changed over the years of COVID. They have the biggest arena out of any LPL team. If they did not have sub-Gyos, I would be concerned that, 1, Ultra Prime has a lot more fans than expected, and 2, people came all the way to Xi'an to see WE lose.
I actually can't believe how loud the Ultra Prime Gyos were, too, in WE's home arena. Here you are expecting them to be in the Lion's Den, but a lot of people coming out to support Ultra Prime. But I guess Ultra Prime having some, big-name players, right? You already hit on it, Ning, Sword Art, even Doggo with his breakout performance at MSI in 2021 must have some fans. But now we're going to hone in for WE. We know a lot of their action should be coming through mid-jungle, but they need to be able to maintain and do well in the spot lane 2v2. You have range advantage to play with, and you need to be afraid once Sword Art starts getting levels under his belt, those all-ins coming through, and being able to find kills onto a very squishy champion like a Janna.
Well, I want to see if I1D can counter that, because the Howling Gales into a Rakan can be the pain in the backside. So, again, interesting pick from I1D, the debut here in the split, of course. But, folks, if you don't know I1D in the past, this was his pick. This was when he got to High Challenger. He was known as a bit of a Janna OTP back in the day, and it was something that made him famous. So, I1D flexing it out here in this bottom lane is going to be fun, especially when he's going up against the more known name in Sword Art throughout his historic career. As Lyric, that bottom lane's already shoving up. Hung is now towards the bottom side himself, while Shanks has priority here. It looks like the lanes are starting out pretty nicely for WE.
And it's just like their first series. It really felt like the place where they got the better of anyone's legend. It was just being able to draft and win out through 2v2s. And right, they did draft to be able to do this. Like you have the range support matchup. You've already talked about how much of a nuisance Janna could just be against Rakan in particular. You have ranged against melee in mid. You're going to have a lot that Hung is able to work with. To where for Ultra Prime, it's going to be about just being able to get through the early game, survive this laning phase, and try and find a time where you can bring Ning down to the spot side. Because 3v3, that's where things like engage supports can try and do more and win out against the likes of an enchanter like Janna. But WE might never give them the opportunity with Hung already getting some vision control in the bot side jungle. Yeah,
not going for the dive, but the wave wasn't there. However, regardless, that vision you mentioned is going to give a bit more information with the camp seen to be cleared out. Thinking that Wukong's going to be on the top side. Lyric, just a side note we saw there, last time the Janna was played, I think it was with LNG, which would tell me that I1D played it last. Yeah.
Yep, it was
in
I believe
2021.
822 days. Yeah, so 2021. over 2 years since we have seen that one come out. Just over, as it looked like it was spring split when he played it.
This Howling Gale's dangerous, but a good return here from Sword Art in the bottom lane. Hung was spotted out trying to get that Vault Breaker into the lane, and that's how crazy it is. One Howling Gale, Doggo would have been in a lot of trouble with his summoners, but he survives to live the tale as Hung just goes back to clear his last cap. Now, Lyric, that ward you pointed out, I want to mention, Ning is going to be spotted over it as his Gromp respawns, so we are going to give a little bit of information over to WE so that their brains can get bigger.
Yeah, Ultra Prime going to be... Ultra Prime would want to look for a play on bot because you have a reset coming out from Ning much before Hung. He comes back on the map having items. He is stronger right now, but there are so many wards littered around that bot side for WE. It looks like they all did just time out, but the information has already come through. So didn't matter if Ning did have that slight window because he didn't waste time hovering around his lanes like Hung did. Now we'll just have to default to farming once again.
And farming's what we're going to do. Slower pace early gamers. I'm going to say that now, but Cube and Harry up in that top lane, that's going to be a fun level 6. The tank bros already smashing it out. You've seen who can lift more at the gym. Now, at the start of this broadcast, I did say, or at least start of the game, Lyric, that we had a 5,000 kilo game plan here from both teams. I forgot. Malphite is rock solid. He's literally a mountain. I think mountains weigh, what? They're tons, bro. 5,000 kilos is more like 5 million kilos, I feel like, just in the top lane alone.
Oh yeah, 100%. I wonder where Xi'an like ranks on a scale comparison to Malphite. I know there are pictures out there showing comparisons of like how large the champion should be. I believe Aurelion Sol is still the biggest champion in League of Legends.
I know. As we
like
see Dragon
universe?
approach here from Hung, 1.5 tons. Xi'an is 1.5 tons, man. Oh my god, and he's almost 100 years old as Tippers makes her way out. Hung, not getting the Vault Breaker though. Forge, explosive cast, gets him out of there. Lyric, unfortunate for Hung on the timing, just didn't connect.
Yeah, sadly, just not having the range to be able to get that up, so a lot blown in mid lane. Forge, not even having to use his own flash, right? Having that explosive cast ready. So ultimately, Ultra Prime just trading up, picking up a dragon on their side as well. I will say as the game goes longer, I still think I probably favor WE. I mean, you have a Jinx, you're going to outrange, you have an Enchanter paired alongside her, and you have a ton of disengage coming out against a composition that is all engage. So I feel like WE should have both the play pattern and slightly superior scaling to get through. But when you have so many go buttons, it at least means you have a lot of ways to punish mistakes.
As Ning, speaking of, going to be spotted out here, but not engaged on by Hung. Remember that flash was burnt before, so he lets him go. Lyric, I have Googled in the time you were talking there to find out how heavy Malphite is. I'm very sorry to everyone. Xi'an might be 1.5 tons, and he's about 100 years old, but Malphite is 86 tons and 36 feet tall. So he is the #1 heaviest champion in League of Legends. He is really the unstoppable force, this website says. So that's, yeah, 87.5 tons just in the top lane.
Kind of disappointed we don't see him more often. Here this man is, could be like the heavyweight champion of the world, could literally 1v1 any of you listening right now. And we only see him, I'd say, one in every, what would you say, like 20 games? That might even be being generous.
Yeah, not enough, right? We're seeing Xi'an more and more as well, or at least more and more than the Malphiters. I'm going to pause
he's the
the
second most played
conversation.
champion right now.
Oh, he is actually as well, for good reason, right? Not as
Well,
heavy as the Malphite,
top
but
lane, I'm sorry.
useful. You're right. Hung is coming in level 6 on Forge, but look at the reservation from Forge. Doesn't overstep as Hope gets the ulti out in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, Doggo is safe for now. He's got Severin, but Hope and Iwandi continue to push forward while WE elsewhere are not finding much else.
No, but still, turning this into a lead, right? CS advantage in top, CS advantage in bot. Very much looking like their first series, which I'll break your heart a little bit because I was looking at some stats before the series started, and both of these teams are bottom 5 in champion kills per minute. So despite the fact that LPL overall has been much slower, both of these teams have definitely been some of the primary offenders. But hey, right now with the pryos they have in mid and bot, looks like they are trying to angle for some action. Ning gonna wait in the brush, so isn't susceptible to any danger just yet. And even Ultra Prime's bot lane playing very respectfully, not giving any openings over to Hung.
Unlucky from Hung as well that he wasn't able to see that ward. Going to be moved away here as Shanks continues to push out mid, guys. As Lyric just said, it'll be a slow affair through the early game. But now that we have those ultis up and available, now that Dragon's 2 minutes away too, seems like we're trying to get a little bit more proactive, especially down this bottom side as Scuttle, Rift Vision. That's what we're looking at right now. Speaking as well, Rift Vision right now, Lyric, over to WE. I'm wondering if they're going to move up there because it feels like in a game where you do have a priority in a lot of your lanes, Herald should be the priority, but Hung's like, no, screw that. Every time it's about bot.
Okay, still just waiting in the wings. I'm gonna see if Ning makes his way around. Okay, no action happens. I was ready. I was ready to be able to drop just in case any action came through. But yeah, WE, they're the team that have all the onus to be able to pick up Herald. Maybe wanting to try to stay in bot lane longer, knowing that Ultra Prime really don't have many options to take it, and not wanting to give the trade of where, hey, we're gonna go get Herald with our bot lane, you're gonna get some free plate spot. I would say now would be an opportune time, move Iwandi up and start this one off. But hell, if they don't go for it, looks like Ultra Prime might just be the team to get the chance.
Sort out first to the punch as well. Forge moving on up, and that's a big overextended sign, but it is a sign nevertheless. Is TP going to be used? Shanks coming back in. Remember that just turned into Unleashed Teleport 5 seconds ago, Lyric. So the timing exceptional, but can WE get in? That's the biggest thing. Explosive cast. Hello, free jungler. The all-in from Hung to turn it around. Iwandi, though, not going to die, but the unstoppable force. Massive there. Somehow the Janna ult moves the 86-ton giant, but still, first blood goes over to Ultra Prime as a rocket. Flies. Forge. He's not going to be denied. Herald sitting there, taken away. I think in the end it does still go to Ning, but first blood as well. That's the perfect icing from Ultra Prime.
Right, and I mean, hell, we just saw in that fight so much CC to be able to go through. Now we need to keep our eyes on Ning and see where he does end up dropping it. I actually don't know if this is one where we need to have much of a guess, because I don't expect you to be able to have a need to drop it topside for Malphite. He's getting pushed in. Same going for Gragas. Sure, your bot lane is getting pushed in, but Ophelia is really the only person where it would make sense to give any of that gold over to.
But at the very least, gold still given in some regard. Yeah, no assist kind of sucks, but we'll have a look and see if any action brews after this, because WE is starting up the Dragon. Ning on the wrong side of the map right now, Lyric, so it does feel like WE are going to be shaking hands here a little bit. And you look at the last fight, even though it was a win for Ultra Prime with Herald included, WE is still up by 1,000 gold.
And all of it just coming from the lead that their laners are finding, right? I mean, especially Cube in that top side, doing a nice job sitting about 20 CS above his counterparts. We're going to get to see here exactly what went down. WE late to the punch when they should have had tempo with all the prio in their lanes. Dodges out on the knockup from Hung, but still big Malphite ult to make sure that things go down. Then instantly into more CC. I believe it was from Sword Art as well. And with just nowhere to go, we see Hung get taken down so quickly. And this is why I said, you know, despite the fact that the longer the game goes on, it might favor WE. When you do have so much lockdown, when you do have, you know, at least some bursts that'll come online later on, WE can't afford to make any missteps.
Well, this might be one of them, depending on how Sword Art pivots. Forge was moving down as well, you can see in River. And preparing that Gragas ult yet again here. But WE holds steadfast as they picked up the Dragon in that replay, or at least moments before. They've evened it out. They still have the gold lead here in this game. And those first items coming on board first. Luden's Echo now picked up, or Tempest, excuse me, by Shanks. Hope already had the Storm Razor as we went into that last replay due to all the plates he's taken, plus the CS lead. The only other person who's really picked up their first item is Ning and Harry on Ultra Prime. So we'll have to see when Doggo and Forge can catch up on that boat and see what Ultra Prime's next move is with objective so far away.
Again, I think they need to find a timing to be able to bring this Rift Herald in bot. And like you pointed out, Ning having the Divine Sunder, he's the one person in the game who should be stronger than his counterpart. We can even see here a level up over Hung. Is it going to stop Hung from being able to steal it and get away? Oh, poor Ning.
It's irritating, man. I mean, Hung is great at this. This is what we knew him for in spring. That was his debut. Flashing over walls, jungle sealing, jungle dominance. I mean, if you have to say one thing about this man, is a no-holds-bar here from any time he plays in Summoner's Rift. But the biggest thing that Ning now wants to do, Lyric, seems to be towards bottom lane, as Herald is still in his hand. And Herald is now just going to be dropped down finally to give some gold over to poor Doggo.
And I'm glad to see it. We've been seeing a lot of like failed Herald drops coming out for the first week of play. Put in the middle of the lane, gets bursted out before it's able to get a charge, but Ultra Prime do guarantee the charge comes through. They're also the highest team in terms of taking Rift Heralds right now in the league, so it's good to show that a team that both prioritizes them knows how to use them well. So now for Ultra Prime, gotten pressure where they needed it. A ton of wards littered in the bot side jungle, so it should open up for Sword Art and Doggo to have a bit more safety as well as play more aggressive. Because look at the minimap. Forge and Ning just constantly hovering around this area.
Yeah, pulling the trigger is not happening, but still, it's the movement, as you said. Forge, a pain in the ass right now, as Shank's going to be TPing back the lane, guys. Reminder again, you might be sitting there, lying in your chair, playing with your toesies. It's 14 minutes in, we've only got a kill. You need to chill out, you need to wait it out, because this is going to ramp up. Ultra Prime WE are not the kills per minute team that you want from an LPL game. But that doesn't mean that things aren't going to be happening soon. As everyone hovers towards bottom lane as Doggo tries to clean out the wave and push down for first turret blood. WE are just waiting towards this tribe rush where they know Ning is, where they know Sword Art is as well.
You can see that both teams, like, they want the other one to go, and they're like, hey, we are ready. Come fight us. But neither one pulling the trigger. Ultra Prime finally going to do it, but Hung should just be able to get this and walk away, so Sword Art just going to look to clear out some vision. Doggo, if he gets this turret, we might finally get it.
I told you we were waiting for it. I want to get a bit of movement speed with the heal, but double cyclone should be there. Quick ulti flash. I wonder. And on the backside, Sword Art was caught out. Hung and Shanks, the two-man unit from the mid jungle, make short work as Ultra Prime now try and progress forward.
Ultra Prime, the team that ends up losing a member, also losing out massively in their solo lanes. We see Shanks now, but in top side, Cube is all the way proxying, like, up towards the inhibitor. Now gets to walk back, finish this turret off, extend his CS lead even more. And remember, Ultra Prime's comp isn't very damage heavy. So the stronger Cube gets, it's going to be meaningful because you're really only going to have one source of damage hitting that front line. As we see here, Ning goes in, but of course with things like the heal coming out, great choppers from Hope, just no follow-up, able to come out from Iwandi with the clutchest flash to make sure that he gets the hell out of dodge.
Sick chompers, as you said. Hope pressed an E down on top of that ward for the double TP was not only ingenious, but yeah, it gave so much to WE on the other side of the map, and now as Dragon spawns. Lyric, we have to look at what's down, because about a ham and a handbasket right now, falling off the wayside as Summoners down for Hope and Iwandi. You can see on the other side, Doggo without his Ghost as well. A couple of those ultis need time to come up in Nings. It looks like Ultra Prime realize they have enough though, as Deathrock are going to be flying through, blocked out by Sword Art. Ultra Prime strong enough to take this Dragon and take themselves to number 2, while WE just handshake, take the deal, and go to Herald in the top side of the map.
Yeah, WE can elect and opt into going for the gold trade. You would expect them to look to be using this towards mid lane. And I think with a composition like Ultra Prime's, if you can get control over mid lane, be able to freely access either side of the enemy jungle, it's going to be really hard for them to find avenues into lanes, try to contest priority, which will just give WE free reign over the whole map. So this Herald definitely can be massively impactful. We're going to be looking at Ultra Prime to potentially look for picks with how much CC they have. Already looking right now towards Shanks.
He's a dead man. See, Sword Art, it's too late. Harry just ultis in. Shanks, he doesn't want to burn too much. Tippers will come out, but no flash. Nothing of the sort to try and waste some time. Everyone commits. Ning picks up the kill, but it is still a kill. While I will say, again, traded positively, because Cube is playing World of Warcraft down here.
Yeah, at this point, you might as well go, like, one of the sillier Xi'an builds. You know, like, you pick up Hullbreaker. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe even get some AD items. I don't know. I don't know what Cube's, like, brain's going to be cooking up, but just completely commit to the split push and be that annoying Xi'an in solo queue that just continuously dies but takes everything in the enemy base.
Dude, he's got a bounty as Herald gets spawned into mid lane. Guess who's joined in? The level 13 shredded Arnold Schwarzenegger top laner, but ignore that. Chompers are down. Hung's engaged, gorgeous. WE pick up a kill, and it's on to Hope as Cube sends Forge over the wall. Herald gets another charge, and he just walks up to the turret. Does he care? Nah. He'll ulti out of there with Forge's ulti in the mix and just chill.
I'm so surprised he even like thought he had to ult out of that situation. We saw, I mean, again, no one's gonna do damage to you, my dude. No one is gonna hurt you, Cube. Doggo only being on like first item. Sure, it's a strong item, but already having plated steel caps, now Radiant Virtue coming out on this Xi'an as well. Sunfire has already been sat on for a long time. Just we're gonna be waiting for Doggo to hit something like the LDR is hung here. Does get the ult off before the clone comes through. Really nice combo with the rocket to make sure that they get this first kill. And you see again, no one's gonna hurt this man outside of Doggo. No one.
I just love that he walks up for one hit on the turret, refuses to elaborate, leaves, and now has a Radiant Virtue second. So this is just suddenly a game about this top lane Xi'an who did well in lane, who is now ahead, who is the only one in the game, by the way, folks, with a bounty, 30 CS lead. Cube is on the bottom side of the map. He's TPing to this turret. His ulti's not available, but he decides, okay, I'm going to show up anyway and just run at them for no apparent reason. Interesting stuff.
Just gonna look to go in, but not gonna be able to find anything out of it. TP's now blown. And just both teams posturing around mid lane. I guess for WE, you already have like bot lanes pushed out. You already have a fair amount of vision around mid, so they aren't really pressured to do too much right now. They know they're not going to be able to look towards any type of like insane 20-minute Baron play. So it just seems like slow and steady is going to continue to be the name of the game. And they're probably just going to default to, you know, waiting every time Dragon spawns before we get semblances of action to come through.
Yeah, until then, everyone, what kind of blanket have you got on? I'll tell you right now. I have a nice, wait, hang on, it's fallen off. I've got this grey blanket. It's come from IKEA. It's about, I'm not doing inches because I shouldn't encourage Americans to get the wrong system. 10, 15 centimeters thick, like thick as all hell with 2 C's. And it is the warmest blanket ever because tonight it is like 10 degrees, even in Sydney, because we are upside down and the weather here is winter. You're in Arizona. Well, can I say that, Lyric? I've already said the first part of it. You're in America, a place starting with A.
I'm in Arizona, you know, like I've said that many times.
Go find him.
Please don't. You know what? I don't leave anyways. Okay, a pick potentially going to come out. Harry, he's really tanky. Has to use the ult to get away.
Surprised Cube didn't actually follow that one up, but didn't want to burn anything more than the ulti there as well. As I don't think this is an IKEA blanket at all, but we'll pretend I said the right thing. Lyric, they're walking towards Baron. Could they do Baron? 2,500 gold. WE. Baron? No, it's got vision on it.
And I feel like if you're WE, you know, the only way you really lose is if you give over like an easy opportunity to get on top of Hope. For W, I think playing this one out the way they're doing makes a lot of sense. Kind of play it slow. Yep. Again, poke your head in the enemy jungle, get a bit of like shallow vision down, see if anyone oversteps, try to catch them out, but just wait. Because Ultra Prime going to be feeling the pressure to try and come into you. Now, Harry, no ultimate online. I think Ultra Prime are really going to be dissuaded from even contesting this Drake.
Walking towards it, Hung has already started it off. They're making the switch towards Baron to threaten the rest of WE. Cube is face-checking by himself as Radiant Virtue on a bit of a cooldown. He's going to get Gravitum, but no one, as you said, does damage. Sword Art chasing after him, but he doesn't take damage. I would probably run now as Doggo's positioning not good. He has to Gale Force out of there, and just like that, Dragon for free. That's it. WE now have positioning over this Baron yet again.
And it's just... the longer this game goes, the more I'm like, I wonder what Ultra Prime are going to be able to find. Honestly, it's going to be like waiting for members of WE to show in sides and then trying to pull the trigger with Harry's ultimate in mid and just hoping you have enough damage there. The problem is that WE haven't been showing on sides. Both teams kind of know they have these giant meatball-esque compositions, and it seems like they're too afraid of getting collapsed on. So they're just going to continuously stay around mid. Shank's finally going to show now.
Okay, 8-year-old girl on the top of the brush up there with her friend Tibbers, who is essentially just a bodyguard. Her parent, I think. But Shanks is not holding a stun for the time being. Instead, Harry can take the blast cone. Shanks still hasn't shown. Forge has, though, as he walks towards the wave. WE are amplifying this pick. They're going to use the stun, the CC. Forge could be a dead man, but he's got flash. He's got ult available. He's sus on something as, Hug misses, but dude, they still get the summoner. That's still a win.
Yeah, they're going to take that every single time. But this is what we said. The second they show in sides, this is when you need to look to pull the trigger. Not wanting to do it, considering that Cube was the only one in distance of like any CC to be able to come through. But even heavy trading onto him is flank.
Why are we engaging on the side? Harry going to be knocked up and spun out. The backline access onto Ning. Down goes the jungler. Doggo getting a good ulti off, but look again! Is that Balsam in the back line? We've got to roll up his lore as Cube just runs in. He doesn't die. Ultra Prime can't do a thing.
No, this one is just, again, no damage, a bunch of meatballs. Sadly, by Ultra Prime, I feel like it's only going to get harder and harder. But WE now going to be able to convert this into a Baron. We'll see if Forge and Doggo are even going to opt in to come, like, trying to do anything a little bit cheeky, but seems like no. I mean, it would be hard to try to steal away the Baron with, like, a Gragas Q or something, but it definitely won't happen if you don't try. So I'm a little bit disappointed in you, Forge.
Yeah,
you could have done great things.
I mean, Ultra Prime maybe could have done great things because this game is just slowly but surely going towards WE as we look at this fun replay again.
Yeah, we're going to see the engage comes through, but the big thing being Shanks onto the backline. 2 flashes forced out means Ning goes down right away. And then there he goes. Bam! Gets the CC knock-up onto Sword Art as well. Doggo does manage to get away in the end with things like the Ghost, the Flash, the Gale Force, everything having to be used.
Look at him. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Cube just TPs like the bot side with Baron, and Ultra Prime have to leave.
You know, you used to love the Fridge saying, but I feel like Cube must be the next level evolution of a Fridge in this game. Which would be...
What is better than a Fridge?
Are you Googling that?
Yeah, Kogan 362 liter interchangeable chest fridge and freezer. With Afterpay or Zipper Pay, $600.
That's kind of the same thing, right? It still had fridge in the name, so I feel like we'd kind of want to move on to like a better household appliance.
Well,
or is he just the house itself?
True. Maybe he is the house as Forge is TPing in. He wants to try and be the apartments that bridge off the back end. Not sure what neighborhood we're in anymore, but Forge, he's going to be trying to get him away. There's an explosive cast there. It's slow on the damage front, but hey, after a while, it's starting to hurt. Tibbetts is out and boom! Goes the dynamite. There ain't no bomber there. Instead, the explosion's first to come as WE with Baron on the bot side. And meanwhile, Ultra Prime might just have to leave and go running home scared to their base.
And it seems like WE have just found a style that suits them in this new meta. Like, they're happy to play out slow. They have strong laners, and they're able to deliver and really just slowly whittle away at their counterparts. Just recreating what they did in their first series beautifully here again.
Well, I have to say, this series, or at least the start of it, has just turned into like an LG advert because their sponsored post on Google is saying, entertain like a baller. I don't know how in tune they are with the esports community, but I feel like that's the first step. So LG, if you're listening, nice sponsorship as the reaction time from Hope is gorgeous. You know, Harry wouldn't have got much out of it anyway, but still, Hope showcasing his JDG style. As this WEAD has just had a chill-out game, along with the rest of WE here in this game. It's been slow, it's been steady, but we know in the end, the Tortoise always wins the race.
Yeah, Hope showing us why him and Iwandi were such a touted duo coming into this year and why people were excited for this WE roster. Time to see if Ultra Prime, Ning gonna go for it?
But Hope is out yet again. Ning is dead once again. WE not even sweating at this point. It's probably time to go and get a snack, get some dinner, because if the next game looks anything like this, WE are chilling here as they continue undefeated up against Ultra Prime in game number 1.
You know, I've thought about it, and I feel like the upgrade from a fridge should probably be a rice cooker. I feel like if you look, you can probably find some really nice... Is there anything more useful than a rice cooker? I'd argue no. And Cube in that game was incredibly useful. Chilled in top lane, split push a bunch because Harry kept leaving lane, got a bunch of gold, got a bunch of stats, and then bam, the rice is done. You get to make your delicious like egg fried rice, and you know, here we are.
First of all, you probably wouldn't. I mean, some people don't keep eggs in their fridge, but you probably wouldn't be able to have eggs without the fridge. I'm not sure how the rice cooker is more important, but as you folks can see, I mean, this game, nothing much happened until we realized that Cube wasn't unbeatable. We're talking about fridges because, honestly,